Hello, beautiful world. Welcome to episode 3 of Outrageously Evolving with Solara Green and
And Centauri. Who else?
so this one we want to talk about infinite intelligence, which is something for me that was new to me 25, 30 years ago. I mean, I really didn't have any of that kind of understanding of life and connection and how all that stuff worked. But in the last, 28 years that we've been together, I've really finessed it into quite an ability to get insights, get information, understand direction, find new pathways to tune into the essence of people. So I call it infinite intelligence. And you could say it's a kind of a universal intelligence or a consciousness that's available to us, a sentient intelligence that wants us to understand things. Is it our own intelligence? Yes, in a way, yes. And in a way, is it the universe's intelligence? Yes. You could talk about it either way, I suppose. But for me, it's become a way of life. I use it for everything now. So how about for you?
Well, I think it's about relationship, isn't it? I
Mhm.
mean, I don't have any particular name for what we're talking about on this particular podcast. It's really quite open-ended. Other people have different names for it, different relationships. I remember something from when I was back in school, and when you were thinking about a problem and you look up to the ceiling, and the teacher would say, "You won't find the answer up there." The problem was that the teacher didn't understand, what's going through your head. What you're doing is you're defocusing.
Yeah.
You're not focused on any particular aspect of education at all. You're not trying to solve a problem. You're trying to get a sense of what the moment gives you, the inspiration,
Yeah.
you might say guidance in effect. And I guess that's how I live my life anyway. It's almost like day to day a blank slate that I'm not thinking about anything in particular, unless of course I do the Open University degree modules, and therefore I have to use a different area of my brain to reflect on something which is intellectual and academic. But I might say then that I'm using different areas of my brain where I'm putting the energy to be able to get information. But the type of information that we're talking about, the infinite intelligence, is like going back to that schoolboy analogy where you're defocused
Mhm.
and you're not thinking about anything in particular, but it's like something just happens, something comes and almost like fits what it is that you're thinking about. And
Yes.
I sort of remember that in detective novels, they, I think they say something about don't concentrate on the problem. The answer will come to you. The solution will make itself obvious to you. It is about relaxing and not being stressed about whatever it is that you're dealing with in your life. And I find it very helpful to think that things seem to come together. So
Mhm.
I'll take for an example this particular podcast. I don't have any idea about what I'm going to say. You suggest a topic and you ask me, what are you going to talk about? And I say, I don't know until the moment I open my mouth because there's nothing ready there. There's
Yes.
nothing for me to talk about
Yes.
until the moment when I start to open my mouth and we align together.
Yeah.
And I'm just almost like allowing things to come to me, which fits the thing that we're talking about, the
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah. It,
So in a sense, that is like I'm not calling it intelligence, but it's something which operates on a frequency which allows you to gain a mastery of knowingness and understanding and comprehension about any aspect of life, so you can talk about it with authority. And I
yes.
think that is for me the prime characteristic of what we are calling infinite intelligence.
Yes. Yeah. Beautifully said. And I want to talk about the evolution of that just for a minute, because I think if I go back 30 years, people were talking about intuition, which is kind of gut feel, a sensory intelligence that we have inside of us. But that's evolved hugely. And then it went to kind of, well, connecting with consciousness and asking questions and tapping masters and masterful consciousness and et cetera, et cetera. But now it's very different. It's like a living sentient intelligence that knows stuff. That I feel like not only have I partnered with it and connected with it and plugged into it, I've taken my brain from here, my intelligence from here, and made it part of this greater intelligence that fills the universe. And that greater intelligence seems to know stuff. Now, I'm not talking in my own case, I'm not trying to predict futures or be certain about things with people, but there is an intelligence available to us that I think has been external to us and is becoming more a part of us. It's who we are becoming as this knowing, this intelligence, this understanding. And it offers to me, anyways, in the work that I do with people, a witnessing of possible pathways that they could choose, an understanding of the deep purposes and fulfillments of them and how that gets expressed and fulfilled. It gives me ideas and names for things and new possibilities. And I can access the quantum field and pull ideas and new futures from it and be able to give language and form to that. That's what I'm talking about, infinite intelligence. And it and we are evolving together into something new as a kind of new description of intelligence. And sometimes I call it quantum intelligence. By quantum, I mean like a quantum leaping or an accessing of the quantum field of possibilities, that kind of thing.
Well, as you're talking, I'm thinking about Reiki and how we were both Reiki masters in the past,
Yeah.
and how we seem to drop Reiki at some point in our own natural progression. But for people to say that they were accessing universal consciousness and were acting as a vehicle for it, not as a partner to it, but as a vehicle for that,
Yeah.
and that they're using symbols and that they are acting in a quite distinctly different modality than someone who's actually got that feeling about understanding the
Yeah.
cosmos, the relationship to the cosmos, that not only you are the cosmos, but also that there's an expansion of our understanding about what it is that we're thinking about, we're talking about, we're dreaming about, that the consciousness of everything doesn't stay still and constant. It is dynamic and evolving all the time.
Yes.
Therefore, when we were being Reiki masters, we were operating at a particular level,
Yes.
but now we're operating at a completely distinctly
Yes.
new understanding of
Yeah.
how we could be with energy and life and consciousness,
Yes.
and with so many different abilities that we were being constricted when we were talking in our Reiki framework, that
Yes.
Reiki is this, and whatever else is that, and whatever is that. We're taking the whole
Yeah.
of what we might say is being human understanding, human concepts of whatever has been existing in this world. And we've changed our relationship to all of it by saying we are all of it. We're
Yes.
not a part of it. We are not vehicles for it. We are the living product, the living source of it. So
Yes.
therefore, you feel different about coming to something like Reiki now. It's like, well, that was good for the time. That was good to allow us a stepping stone to something which progressed our feeling about energy, about life.
Yeah.
But now it's a completely different framework that we're working with.
Yes.
And you don't know where that ends. That's the thing about
Yeah.
it. You know where Reiki was positioned in a particular place in time and space, but now we're talking about something quite different. And you don't
Yes.
know really how this is changing you as a
Yeah.
being, how this is changing you as a human, who had certain ideas about life.
Yeah.
All of that's gone. I
Yeah.
was a human, and now I'm something which is completely a different order of evolution itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. You make me harken back to 25 years ago when I was channeling masters at the time. And that was like, oh my God. It was so incredible to be able to do that. That was such a new thing to me to be able to tap other consciousnesses and wisdoms and bring them through. And I remember saying, uh, probably about just before we went into the 2000s, I remember saying, we will never evolve if I am constantly tapping some other version of wisdom. It has to be me as it, us as this living, creative, generative intelligence that floods the universe and the air around us. And so I cold turkey gave up channeling altogether. And that was a quantum leap for us. And so I
Mm.
began to let it pour through me, as we talked in episode 2 on the last call that we did, where we bring genius through, genius flows through us. That's an example of that. So I began to be a voice for the living intelligence, which is both me and not me simultaneously. And that changed everything for me. I then became my own, I like the term maestro of creative, generative, you know, what we do in the world, what we create, what we open up as new possibilities. And that intelligence, that infinite intelligence or universal intelligence that is available to everyone, it wants us to create with it. It wants us to open up new doorways and pathways and futures for the world and new ways in which we can exist. And so for me, it's part of us becoming sources of life and
Mm.
creators of futures and realities in life.
Mm. I was thinking just then about the Matrix trilogy,
Yeah.
in which Neo has this identity.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Smith, I think he's called. Anyway, you know that by the end of the trilogy, he's become a godlike figure.
Yeah.
He knows that the Matrix was just a construct, and what we might see all around us here in this world, they're constructs as well.
Yeah.
And it's about being able to negotiate all these different types of constructs, see them for what they are,
Yeah.
decide what it is that you're going to actually play out in this world. And I do remember that one of the things that the Masters always like said to us is that we give over to you now the playing of the game. It is up to you
Yes.
how it
Yeah.
is now played out.
Yeah.
So it is like it is like turning responsibility from the greatness of whatever into the greatness of beingness of self, and
Yes.
then refashioning and reconceptualizing all that it is that you think is true and real,
Yeah.
and coming up with something completely different for yourself. And that I think is more than a gift, it's an essentialness
I do think so
for
too.
evolution.
Yes.
We take it now to places that people would never have dreamt to have gone before,
Yeah.
because something has been almost like given to us, turned over to us, whatever you will, and we've taken it up
Yeah.
and we've said we are this with such a surety and with such an aware, a conscious awareness that you wouldn't be in the matrix for anything. You
Yeah.
wouldn't go to almost like that slumberland of that unconscious, whoever that was, who we were back then.
Yeah.
It is like something was created and said, "You are now this," and we have taken that to be true. That we are now a completely different creation than what we were born as,
Yes. We are.
and for
Both
that
of us
place,
are. Yes. And
anything is
others.
possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if I was going to say to people, well, how do you access that? The the brilliance of life, the super creativeness is not in the brain. The brain is like, I mean, it's miraculous and it has capacities more than what I'm just about to talk about, but the brain is like a computer that stores information that's been put into it. So all the learning, all your experiences, all the cultural beliefs, everything that's stored in the brain becomes like a computer. So it's what's known. What's not known is here in this kind of bigger intelligence, bigger brain. And that is both us and not us at the same time. And I believe everyone can have access to this. I just think we're not trained for it. Some people are born into it and they understand it right away and live their lives with it, trying to fit into the human understanding of thinking and learning and, all of that. But the access to it is when you move from brain focused intelligence to more expansive, connective intelligence, which is everywhere around us. It's nature's intelligence, it's oceans and waters intelligence, it's animals' intelligence, it's the stars' intelligence, it's the universal intelligence. It's all there, right here. You don't even have to go a long way for it. When I first started to do this, well, 30, 35 years ago, it was like trying to plug my brain into a bigger internet. That's how it occurred for me. Now I was trying to guide people to it. Now it's like a natural flow. Like this is an intelligence, a living, sentient, creative intelligence that is a flow through me and as part of me. It's not separate from me anymore. I still do stop, ask questions, tune in, close my eyes, plug in. It helps me to focus or defocus, as you were talking about, to focus on a different level, but it's not in here. It's this relationship with this greater, grander intelligence that wants us to create new possibilities.
So to put it in a nutshell then, if you're focused on the news, stop doing it. Start to focus and have conversations with
Yeah,
the air around you,
yeah,
with the people around you, with the nature around you,
yeah,
with all the things that you've mentioned, the stars, the oceans, the whales, goes on and goes on and goes on. You think that you can't have these types of conversations because you've probably never tried, because you were never actually instructed to think in that way, to
yeah,
say that this is possible.
yeah,
And all it is just as you were talking earlier about channeling the masters. It is about having this almost like telepathic ability to send out a signal, to receive the signals back,
yeah,
and to be able to know that everything around you is willing to talk and enter into dialogue with you.
yeah,
And the only thing that stops you is the belief that it cannot be done.
yeah. And I would say one of the keys is to learn to trust the insights that you get. And that's a big thing for people because I was talking with a friend yesterday who was um she was saying, oh, I got this insight, but I dismissed it. Oh, that's just my wishing, my thinking. Oh, it must be crazy, that kind of thing. No, trust the insights that you get. It might come in picture form, it might come in words, it might come in just a knowing of an understanding, but don't dismiss those things. They are gems of new possibilities that are coming to you. So take them in and explore them. You don't have to buy it immediately, what you get, or go for it, with gusto. But at least be willing to expand it, explore it, ask more questions, dive into it, play with it. Because this creative generative intelligence that's all around us and that is now, I think, a part of us, wants great things for us. It offers greatness to us and it wants us to develop ourselves as source creators of life.
So go forth and have conversations.
Yes, with everything. Okay, so that I think that kind of sums up what we wanted to talk about, doesn't it, about infinite intelligence. So our next episode, episode 4, is going to be on communing with the invisible forces. So we've just been talking about communing with the invisible intelligence. Now we're going to talk about communing with the invisible forces next and what that's like. So we've now got our podcast is up on Spotify. It's now on a Facebook page called Outrageously Evolving Podcast. It's on both of our timelines. It's on LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. So and on YouTube as well. So you can watch the first 2 episodes there. And episode 3 and 4 will be going up shortly. So thanks for joining us.
Catch you on the next one.
All righty. Thanks a lot.